This is like the 10th time doing this intro, but it's that time again. We're doing another little project on this 84 Charade. This time, it's the Fender mirrors and some deletes for the original ones. So as I mentioned in a previous build overview, these are CNC aluminium bar end mirrors off a motorcycle. You can get them on eBay. I got these ones from TDR Moto in Victoria as a actual storefront if you want to trust eBay. They're CNC, they go by a generic name. I don't, just black CNC round bar mirrors, really. They're a convex shape. I believe they will be road legal. You can see quite a bit out of them, especially when you're in the passenger seat. So far to install them, I drilled a 12mm hole in the panel, roughly in line with the front of the guard. If you look at 260Zs, they kind of have them there. Corollas have them at the front. MGs have them at the top in the middle there. So a bit of a difficult decision, but I think they look pretty good. So far, I 3D printed a bezel because there's a lip on the underside of these. It kind of, I guess, goes inside the handlebars in the motorcycle. So this bezel kind of makes it look cool. On the other side, there's a bit that sticks out. So there's a spacer tube crush thing that goes on the other side. Then there's a fender washer, a spring washer, and then a M6 nut. And that's a cap head screw on the inside. And then there's a bunch of grub screws as well. So down there you can see the old mirrors. They're crusty, tired, and they fold in at about 95 k's an hour. So every day when I'm driving this to work and such, I've got to keep folding out the mirrors, and that really sucks. These ones, they haven't budged yet, and you can see arguably way more out of them. And I think these cars are ADR2 here in Australia, so they don't even need a passenger side mirror, I think. But we have a big gaping hole, especially down there. You can see the internal guts of my doors, so that's not great. So got a bit of aluminium. This isn't anything special. I do have sitting inside some like 2024 L-clad shit, but this is just, I think, a sheet from J-Car. It's 16 gauge alley. It's like, what's that, 16 gauge, 1.6 mil or something like that. They kind of fit over there. I made a paper template, you know, the usual oily finger rubbing it down. So they fit on real nice. I think I'm going to Sikaflex them on there, and they should hold on pretty alright. So I've got them all in primer. Unfortunately, I don't have a can of etch, so I've had to paint with a brush, but this should be alright. And then the color I'm going to be painting them is the same as my bumpers. The Montana textured bumper paint. You get that from Super Cheap Auto here in Australia. My bumpers seem to be holding up alright, and they should kind of match it all. It's meant to go on straight onto plastic without a primer, but I reckon it'll go well on the etch. Like, it's paint. And then the black Sikaflex behind it, it should all blend in when it gets stuck to the car. These are looking absolutely lovely. That's that gloss black sparkle that you might be able to see in the sun. They're quite hot, but they're drying quickly. They match the bumpers, which should be real sick, and you can barely tell that I brushed the primer on those ones. Funny enough, it's pretty terrible to try and film while you've got a actively setting bead of Sikaflex on a part, but that's all in position now. It should take about 24 hours to dry. It's clear, which I didn't quite realize, but that's perfectly fine. I've come along with a rag and kind of cleaned up the bit that squeezed out, but that's going amazingly. It should be more than strong enough. It doesn't have any force on it really. It's just a bezel to cover up the I don't know if you can see it, there's a gaping hole there. So yeah, just gonna leave that for a couple of hours, and then it's almost job done basically. So it's a couple weeks later. The Sikaflex on the mirror deletes is completely dry. I've been driving around for a couple of days, a couple of weeks even, with these on. The only thing I'm noticing is, yeah, there's dirt and sand getting in there, and water even. So I'll need to get something to put across there, whether it's some more like T-shaped rubber or some sort of flare edging or something like that. I'm sure I'll be able to find something like Clark rubber in Australia. But these hang on really, really well. And these fellas, I've taken it to a rally day, did about 50 laps, and they didn't move. The only time they move is when I bump them. If we come inside, yeah, you can see a decent amount out of them, like I was saying before. It's enough that when cars are beside you, you can see them in your peripheral. When they're just behind, you can see them in the mirror. When they're further back, you can see them in the rear view. Like, yeah, they're perfect. So, yeah, really to summarize, I'm really happy with the mod, and I hope you can see that you can use maybe parts that you wouldn't normally think should belong on cars. So like these CNC door mirrors, to make some kind of pretty cool accessories, even so on a budget. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and you can see that there's like little cool things that you can do to your car that don't cost much. I know it was probably a bit half-assed, but at least you can see that on these things in here that you don't even need to spray on primer for it to still look good. So thanks for watching.